Ever wondered what happens when a fairy tale princess gets a brutal reality check? Today, we're diving into the full story of Enchanted, where a picture-perfect princess is thrown into the most unmagical place imaginable, modern-day New York City. Our story begins in the whimsical, hand-drawn kingdom of Andalasia. In this world, every problem can be solved by a song, and woodland creatures are your personal stylists. Meet Giselle, the quintessential princess. She's kind, she's beautiful, and she sings her heart out while waiting for her one true love. She dreams of a prince who will find her, share true love's kiss, and whisk her away to live happily ever after. It's the classic fairy tale setup, and Giselle truly believes her perfect ending is guaranteed. She even has a little chipmunk friend, Pip, who's her #1 cheerleader. One day, while singing a beautiful ballad about finding her special someone, her voice attracts the dashing Prince Edward. He's exactly what you'd expect: handsome, brave, and a bit dim-witted. After a brief but dramatic rescue from a troll, they instantly fall in love. It's a whirlwind romance, and they decide to get married the very next day. To Giselle, this is it. The dream is coming true. Her happily ever after is just a wedding ceremony away. But not everyone is thrilled about this union. Watching from the shadows is the wicked queen, Nerissa, Edward's stepmother. Nerissa is a classic evil queen, obsessed with her power and terrified that if Edward marries, she'll lose her throne. She can't have that, can she? So, she devises a sinister plan to get rid of Giselle for good. Disguised as an old hag, she intercepts Giselle on her way to the castle. She tricks the naive princess by showing her a wishing well, promising it will lead her to a land of endless happiness. Giselle, ever trusting, leans over to make a wish, and with one powerful shove, Nerissa sends her tumbling into the swirling vortex. One push down a magic well turns a hand-drawn princess into a real woman, falling straight into the heart of New York City. Giselle lands, quite literally, through a manhole cover in the middle of Times Square. Gone are the soft pastels of Andalasia, replaced by flashing billboards, honking taxis, and a sea of hurried, indifferent faces. Her poofy wedding dress is now a spectacle, and her friendly greetings are met with suspicion. The woodland creatures who used to help her are now just pigeons and rats. Giselle is completely lost, terrified, and utterly alone in a world that doesn't operate on fairy tale logic. She has no money, no phone, and no idea how to get back home. Her perfect day has turned into an absolute nightmare. As night falls and a storm brews, a drenched and desperate Giselle stumbles upon a small apartment building. This is where she meets Robert, a cynical divorce lawyer, and his sweet 6-year-old daughter, Morgan. Robert is the polar opposite of a fairy tale prince. He's practical, jaded by his job dealing with broken relationships, and firmly believes that happily ever after is a fantasy. He sees Giselle as a delusional woman who needs help, not a princess from another dimension. Morgan, however, is enchanted. To her, Giselle is a real-life princess, and she instantly believes her incredible story. After a lot of hesitation, Robert reluctantly agrees to let Giselle stay for one night, just until she can figure things out. The next morning, Robert wakes up to a scene of pure chaos and magic. Giselle, wanting to thank him, has summoned the local city wildlife pigeons, rats, and cockroaches to help her clean the apartment. She's scrubbing the floors with a smile and a song, much to Robert's horror. This is the first major clash of their worlds. Giselle's idea of true love and kindness collides head-on with the harsh realities of rent, divorce, arguments, and a city that has no time for her storybook ideals. Robert tries to explain that you can't just sing your problems away, and you certainly can't trust everyone you meet. He's teaching her about the real world, while she, in her own innocent way, starts to reintroduce a little bit of magic and wonder into his life. Meanwhile, back in Andalasia, Prince Edward discovers that Giselle is missing. Accompanied by the now voiceless Pip, who can no longer speak in the real world, he bravely dives into the same well to rescue his bride. Edward arrives in New York with the same clueless, over-the-top bravado he had in his own world. He stabs a city bus, thinking it's a metallic beast, and sings at the top of his lungs in Central Park, trying to summon Giselle. His dramatic search is a hilarious spectacle of fairy tale logic failing spectacularly in a modern setting. He is a walking, talking cliché, a stark contrast to the grounded and cynical Robert. But Edward isn't the only one who has followed Giselle. Queen Nerissa, furious that her plan might fail, sends her loyal but bumbling servant, Nathaniel, to finish the job. Nathaniel is tasked with poisoning Giselle, using 3 magical apples. His attempts are consistently foiled in comical ways, often thanks to the interference of Pip, who desperately tries to warn everyone about the danger. This cat-and-mouse game adds a layer of suspense and slapstick comedy, as Nathaniel becomes increasingly frustrated with his mission. As Giselle spends more time with Robert and Morgan, she starts to experience feelings she's never had before. She learns about dating, about getting to know someone before marrying them, and even about anger and emotion that doesn't exist in Andalasia. Robert takes her to Central Park, where she leads the entire crowd in a massive, impromptu musical number. This magical moment starts to chip away at Robert's cynicism. He sees the genuine joy she brings to people, and he starts to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's some truth to her fairy tale perspective. They share moments of genuine connection, talking about love, life, and their different worlds. Giselle is slowly evolving, becoming more than just a two-dimensional princess. This brings us to the central conflict, Robert versus Prince Edward. Giselle finds herself torn between 2 kinds of love. Edward is the prince who fits her storybook narrative, the one she was supposed to end up with. He represents the simple, guaranteed happiness of her old life. Robert, on the other hand, is complicated. He's a single dad with emotional baggage, but he's also kind, patient, and he sees the real Giselle, not just the princess ideal. He challenges her, listens to her, and helps her grow. Giselle must choose between the prince who was written for her story and the man who actually understands her heart. The climax of the film takes place at the King's and Queen's ball. Giselle, now dressed in a modern gown, attends the ball with Robert. It's here that Prince Edward finally finds her, just as he's about to sweep her off her feet and take her back to Andalasia. The clock strikes midnight. This is a classic fairy tale trope, but here it signals a moment of truth. Giselle and Robert share a slow dance, a quiet, intimate moment that says more than any grand declaration. It's clear to everyone, including Edward, that her heart now belongs to Robert. But the night is far from over. Queen Nerissa, disguised once more as the old hag, appears and offers Giselle the final poisoned apple, promising it will make her forget all her troubles. In a moment of vulnerability, Giselle takes a bite and collapses. But Nerissa's plan backfires. She reveals herself, but before she can escape, Edward realizes the truth. The only thing that can save Giselle is true love's kiss. Edward leans in to kiss her, but nothing happens. His kiss doesn't work. The fairy tale formula has failed. In a moment of panic, Morgan urges her dad to kiss Giselle. Robert, finally admitting his feelings, gives her a gentle, heartfelt kiss, and slowly, Giselle awakens. Enraged, Nerissa transforms into a massive, terrifying dragon and snatches Robert, climbing to the top of the Woolworth building. In a thrilling role reversal, it's Giselle who grabs a sword and rushes to save her hero. In the middle of a New York skyscraper, the fairy tale mask finally breaks, revealing who's really the villain and who truly loves her. With Pip's help, Giselle sends Nerissa falling to her demise, saving Robert and the city. In the end, Giselle chooses to stay in New York with Robert and Morgan. For the first time, she writes her own ending, not the one promised in a fairy tale, but the one she chooses in the real world. She opens a successful fashion boutique, using her magical talents to create beautiful dresses. She's found a new kind of happily ever after, one that's messy, complicated, and real. And what about Prince Edward? He returns to Andalasia with Nancy, Robert's former fiancée, who is more than happy to trade New York for a fairy tale kingdom. Everyone finds the ending that's right for them, even if it's not the one they expected. Enchanted teaches us that true love isn't about finding a perfect prince. It's about finding someone who loves you for who you are. And that happily ever after isn't an ending but a new beginning that you create for yourself. Thanks for watching our recap of Enchanted. What's your favorite part of the movie? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more story recaps. See you next time.